secret history living in your aquarium. So today we're going to be talking about, well, whatever the heck you guys want to talk about, but also we're going to be talking about cold water fish that you might not expect. You guys probably know a lot of the common ones. And sure, some of them I would put on the list, like white cloud minnows, meteor minnows, goldfish. You guys probably know a lot of those. However, I wanted to include some that you may not expect. And there's a list in the description if you want to refer to some of the ones we're talking about today. I may add in a couple other oddballs. And also, pardon the teeth. They will be fixed on the 22nd. So only a little bit longer do you have to deal with snaggletooth, the secret snaggletooth living in your aquarium. So, how is everybody doing today, though? Who do we got in here? Fishin' Tanktics, the CS effect, all right. Richard, what's up? Lara, the Glass Box Fox, Richard McCarthy, good to see you. Viesen, hello. Who else do we have? Carolyn, hello, my dear. Rachel, John, your average fish keeper. Emily, what's up? Pirang Wang, what is going on? Welcome, first live stream, huh? Well, welcome to the group. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the mess. Rico Digao, hello. Matt Allen, hello. So, we got great folks hanging out, streaming in. We got 30 of you already, and I know I'm at a weird time. My wife is having a book club meeting that I did not know about. I didn't know the details of until today, honestly. Allison, hello. Ruby, hello. Craig, hello. Carolyn, other Carolyn, hello. How is everybody feeling? Is everybody feeling foxy, feeling fresh, feeling fine? Gonna have a good time. All right, so it's Luke. What's up? How's it going, man? Good to see you. It was really great to hang out last weekend. Totally. Getting food and hanging out and chilling with Jason. That was good times. Felt like I'd known you forever. Okay. Pronounced like Visine, huh? So it's Visine. All right. Well, I apologize for the mispronunciation. It must be my teeth's fault. Yeah. So if anybody has any questions, concerns, or comments, just like every other stream that I do, feel free to chime in. I am here for you guys who are live. I'm also, obviously, I love the replay crew. You guys rock. But, if you show up, if you're here and you got a question or you need help or you have something cool to share or announce, then you win because you're here. But other words, let's get on with the show. You're sitting at the Burger King drive-thru getting food and cherry vanilla Dr. Pepper. Man, I wish I could get the cherry and vanilla mix in a bottle. It's hard enough to find the vanilla one, or the cream soda, whatever it is. All right, so I got some new fish yesterday that I was really excited because I couldn't get them when I was in Portland. I could see them, but somebody had already bought them. Well, it turns out the person that they were on hold for that had bought them was the fish shop in Seattle that I frequent, Aquariums, and I usually go to that one or the fish store or Aquarium Co-op, one of the three. But they ordered them, so I ended up paying $3 more than I thought I would for each fish. But I still bought 6 because I haven't seen them for 2 years, and I love these fish. You'll probably see them and be like, Alex, why do you love those fish? I just do, okay? Watch the species spotlight on them if you want to see them all colored up and purdy. G-Bear, thanks. I'm glad everybody seemed to like my talk. I think on the Aquarium Insiders podcast. I will be doing, or I already did it. It's a 2 hour talk. It should be up now, I believe. If not now, like any day, maybe in any hour, it will be posted. So keep an eye out for that. It's on 10 moments that changed, or 10 innovations, moments, occurrences, or I guess like, yeah, it's more like moments or concepts that change fish keeping forever and led us to the hobby we have today. Isabel, how's it going? It's good to see you. Hello. Ça va? Bates and Genetics, what's up? Just saw Emily, but you're in here too. Right on. Connie, good to catch you live. Well, it's good to have you here. Captain Savage, hello. And yeah, so we got lots of great people in here. John Manroe, is it Monroe or is it actually Manroe? He's a pinball wizard. There has to be a twist. Pinball. Okay, I'll stop singing. Let's just get on to the list. Oh, you have us on TV. Wow, I'm all over that house. I am honored. I am honored. I guess you could be coloring the coloring books if you really felt frisky. All right, let's turn this around, turn this train around. All right, so the first fish that you may not know, boy, remember how cool this tank looked like a week ago? Well, when I went to Portland, I left the light on, and now there are every kind of awful algae you could ever have in this aquarium. I literally have cyanobacteria. See the nice green? I did not get a haircut. No, I did not, Isabel. Oh, Isabel, you got the chocolate gourami picture, which is pretty epic. You've been supporting the channel a long time, and I have to thank you. I mean, I thank all of you, but I really thank all of you. So, and I thank Isabel and those of you who have been, throwing down support for the channel for a really long time. It helps a lot. All right, guys. So yeah, these are the ones that you may not expect, but I really, really enjoy these guys. So they are called Lake Inle Rosy barbs, or Lake Inle red tail loaches is really a more proper name. They're a very new discovery as far as the fish hobby goes. So yeah, we'll just leave it at that. We'll get them to come out with some food in a moment. But they're a great one, and they're good all the way down to 64, 62 degrees. Lake Inle is 3,200 feet, or over 1,200 meters above sea level. And even though it's in the tropics, it is, it gets cold at night. So yes. But the other fish that happens to be here hanging out that is on the list is the Stiphodon, ornatus, and Inle. Now these great little fish, they can withstand temperatures all the way down to around 68. So for most houses, that's my cutoff. So that's the warmest fish on the list. And really they need a lot of flowing water, or they need really, really pure water, like low TDS, high oxygen, and because of that, they're really not the best for like a tub or a small container. They need biofilm. They need a lot of algae is what they need, honestly. And because of that, they're on this list, but they're the entry level of the list. All right. The same is actually true of these reticulated Siamese algae eaters. They are from Thailand, but they can be found all the way up into the woods and the forests so they're under the canopy and they're up in elevation. So every fish on this list is going to be 68 degrees Fahrenheit, or what would that be? 18 degrees Celsius or cooler. So what's on the back of that longfin neon? He has an adipose fin, and it has little dots on it. They're pretty clear because of how long the fins are on this fish with the genes. And his tail has like a weird little growth on it, but it's just his fully mature tail. The other one is a female, and so she doesn't have it quite as much, but she does have some pigment issues at her tail. So I don't know. But here is that Siamese algae eater, which would be on the list. This is the Reticulatus Siamese algae eater. And they're probably my favorite for actually eating algae. They do a really good job. Look, there's actually fish food in the water, and it's still eating the hair algae as a choice. Especially when they're young, they're really good. With the white spot. I don't see a white spot. Are you talking about just that fin, the way it glows? It's just because its fin has like this weird ridge on it because they're so big. Unfortunately, I haven't seen the other ram in a while either. That was an update to give you. But yeah, I don't know. That little white thing is just probably tissue that ends there and makes it colorful, kind of like if you have like a piece of plastic and you shine light through it like a fiber optic cable or LED or something. See how the fin is just not growing totally flared out. It maybe this guy nipped it, maybe, but he also kind of, or she, I should say, she has a straighter top fin, and I think it's exclusively for these long fin varieties that they have that weird little bump in that fin, in the veil tail. So not even the long variety, but the veil tail variety. So in any case, this guy here, this Siamese reticulated algae eater, he has the diamond shape marking. It's a hexagon right now, but it's usually a diamond as they get bigger. This guy is a brand new baby, and he's maybe an inch long. He's about an inch long. So I got him small on purpose so that he would have lots of room to grow and eat algae. So he's in here to do that. Meanwhile, let's pull up a full-grown algae eater that doesn't do his job anymore. He still does his job a little bit, but not to the point right here. This guy's 7 inches long, and this is the same algae eater species, fully grown here. He's about 5 years old now, but you can see that kind of diamond shape on his tail. That's the best kind. If you get the kind with the line down the body, they stop eating algae at about 6 months old for the most part. And if they have any opportunity to eat flake food, that's what they'll eat, is flake food. So I don't recommend them as much. They will still eat algae though. But these guys actually eat blackbeard algae, and I've seen video of them in the wild with the lovely habit of eating algae. So the other really nice thing, or nice fish that's colorful that maybe you know about, and this is argued, but I'm going to say that it's totally fine because in their natural habitat, their temperature goes this low. But betta fish, betta splendens, there's one or there's one. This is a female over here. This is a male. They are another one that's 68 degrees. As long as you keep them around there, they'll be fine. You don't want to bring them a lot lower than that, but 68 degrees, they seem to do just fine. I've had them get to 65 just because the house was cold or whatever in a tank, and they've been just fine also. I wouldn't want to pull that with like tetras or angelfish or anything like that. So I'm not just saying like they'll survive. I'm saying they'll thrive. I've had bettas, especially if they get a little warmer in the mid part of the day, and that's what their nighttime temperature is, then they really don't need a heater, nor do those algae eaters, and nor do the Stiphodons. Some Stiphodons are from a southern region, and they do need more heat. However, the ones from the northern regions, they don't need it. And right here, these Lake Inle loaches, that's a female there. The males look pretty different, but they still have a red tail. But the females, they can withstand all the way down to like 62, 64 degrees Fahrenheit. And yeah, so they're really hardy, and they're actually, most loaches are very difficult to breed in a tank in at home, you know. But these ones are actually not as hard because they're from a lake, one lake particularly, so they don't have any real spawning ground like that's, you know, something different than the rest of the year. They just freely spawn in the lake. And so they are an egg scatterer and kind of fun that way. Happy Friday, yeah. Hey, Audra, Craig, Marcy, what is going on? I have the adult Inle loaches in a gymnogeophagus. Oh, nice. That is interesting. I've never heard I've never heard that combo in particular. Is that due to size, or is that just due to temperature, or just to see? The other thing that I'm going to be doing is hopefully within a week, this tank will be under control and looking nice again, because it is just, I mean, it's taxed. I didn't have the CO2 on for 4 days, and the light was on for 4 days straight, and that really just nuked it. But here, one more time, Stiphodon. This is the Annie A, or the Annie's Stiphodon, or goby, and they're just really cute and really personable, and they've got really animated little face. Come on, turn so we can see you, buddy. Are you not going to turn? This is a male here. But in any case, we can move on. I just wanted to show you guys that one. And then the other one, see this here? Remember how we saw the speckled one with the red tail? The Lake Inle males, really interesting fish in that they've been stuck in Lake Inle for at least 700,000 years. Here, we'll try to chase it out with some tweezers so y'all can see it again. We've got the male and the female here, but this is the male, and the male's a little smaller than the female, but he has the long stripe down the side, and you see that bend in his body? He actually can contour to the bottom of the tank, or, you know, to his habitat, and fit perfectly in a lot of spots. Now, in most fish, that bent spine is a really bad sign. It means that they've been inbred, usually not enough calcium or something's going on. Here's the female red tail Lake Inle loach, dwarf loach rather, and she's really pretty. I really like them. When they eat and when they're excited, they definitely turn a darker color. The white, or their body's kind of this golden or silver color most of the time, to cream on the belly, and then it actually turns like solid black, the markings, rather than kind of a gray, and the belly turns stark white, and the tail and other fins, the dorsal fin, all turn like a nice bright orange or blood red when they're feeding. So they're kind of cool, but those males have that bent spine, and it's actually, I guess you'd call it a defect, that is in almost all the males of the species. Some stores will throw out the males in there thinking that they're no good or unhealthy, but it's just because they've been so inbred in the Lake Inle. But they've totally coped with it. So, yeah. Miss Bates in Genetics, thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate it. Recovery Fund. And Alan has been a member for 13 months and dropped $6.99. Thank you, buddy. For the Algae Recovery Fund. Yeah, you know, what really sucks is, like, I bought a Crypnuri, and as soon as I got that in the tank, too, my betta, this one here, Jackson Pollock fish stick, ripped it in half. I've never seen a betta care about a crypt. Well, he ripped it in half. If you were watching last live stream, you could see that he literally ripped it off at the roots. I don't know if it'll come back. We'll see. This tank, if you're curious how I'm going to treat it for algae, I'm not going to do a whole new video for it. I'm going to follow my methodology in my videos, which are can you get algae from too low of light? That video, I go through it pretty thoroughly, all the different ways I treat it. But yeah, so that should be Should be good. I'm gonna just basically scale back the light, and then I'm looking for one more fish in here that's on the list and can go really cold compared to the others, and I'm just not seeing him. But you can see what a mess this is. So if I can clear this up in, say, even 2 weeks, I want y'all to be very proud of me because boy, way too much biological matter in the water. And the other problem that was happening here, other than 4 days of light nonstop, was that we're also getting. I was bringing it right to the brink of what's tolerable as far as nutrients go. I was dosing this stuff heavily with these two, with the potassium and the micro and micro and macro basically is what I was using, and definitely dosing at a level that CO2 needs to be running, the light needs to be high, and you've got to be doing water changes. And so it definitely resulted. Look at this. We've got some gnarly, like all the crypts in here. It's really a bummer. I mean, if I lose them, it's going to be a few $100 worth of crypts. But all the pink flamingo and that's blackbeard algae and staghorn algae, or what antler algae, if you want to call it that. But it's just everywhere. So that's not what this episode's about, though. But yeah, and it even like took over the moss, this rare giant moss that I have, this giant pilo moss that, yeah, I'm bummed that got it. I thought this was the tank that was safe as far as, like, I knew it was heavy dosed and everything, but I figured that, if any tank was, the plants were going to be doing well and looking good, that it was going to be this tank. And because of that accident, nope. But CO2, turning down the time of the amount of hours of light, but then cranking up the intensity, maybe even throwing a third light onto here, and only doing maybe like 3 to 5 hours of light for the next 4 or 5 days, and then doing water changes and using CO2 on it, that will be the main way I get rid of this. And also putting a towel over it when it's not in use. The fish that I was going to try to show you guys in here that's usually very readily available for my entertainment is the anchor catfish, or the Asian stone cat. And they are not even an inch across, or an inch long and an inch across. They're just these cute little, they look like an anchor. They look just like an anchor, and they hang out at the bottom, and they do have a spine that can nail you. So sometimes if you're digging through the substrate, you have to be careful, like if my hands are in here with the carpeting plants. But I've got 2 or 3 of them in here. I'm assuming I have 3 of them in here. That's what I put in here, but I've only seen 2 at a time. They're a lot more active at night, but they're one that can take all the way down to the 55-degree level. They are found in moving waters in India. And yes, Visine, thank you so much for the $2.99. I really appreciate it. Richard says, hey, folks, can someone give me a 101 on the benefits of rainwater? The internet tells me that it is a love potion for most fish. So yeah, rainwater is essentially RO water. It's essentially water that has been evaporated, and evaporation is basically the same as boiling. It just doesn't have the same amount of energy, and it happens more gradually, and it can sometimes bring with it debris, but it has to be extremely fine debris, and not to mention that debris usually will come off more in boiling than in the process of something like evaporation, because boiling brings the energy that's enough to really pull those molecules off, whereas evaporation, those molecules just suddenly break bonds and take off from the group, basically, since they're all kind of like magnets the way they stick together. Hey, look, the Sultan Pleco's out. But yes, it is, and I love this Sultan Pleco. I got him at Aquatic Arts about a year ago. I thought he was going to get bigger, like, 6 inches or so, and he doesn't seem to grow. No matter where I put him or what I feed him, he doesn't grow. But I mean, that's okay. If I knew he was going to stay that size, that would actually be fine. But he's a really pretty fish. Okay, so the next critter on our list, which is just a quick mention really, is this guy, which is Neocaridina shrimp. And you guys probably knew this, but they're good down to 65 degrees in a completely happy and healthy sense. You can have them at room temperature, no problem. Now, another fish on this list that you may not know about, actually, being comfortable at these. Hey, Rico. What's up, brother? Great talk the other day. But the other fish that you may not expect at all to be in this list is the Psuedomugil luminatus. These are a beautiful fish. See those orange or red colored fish back there hiding? Hopefully, let's sit down and see if they come to us. Sorry guys, let me get a new focus on this too. But they are definitely one of my favorites. And they'll come probably in a minute here, especially if we give them some food. But while we're waiting, let's hit them with this one. My favorite Dania that I hadn't been able to find in forever. We'll get in closer when the luminatus come out. But the luminatus Pseudomugils can actually go all the way down to about 66 degrees Fahrenheit. About 17 and a half or so degrees Celsius. And these Tinwini Danios, these guys are actually found in the mountains of Thailand and Myanmar also. And they're my favorite Danio, these ones. They don't get much bigger than about an inch and a quarter. And as they get older, the males start to turn a lavender or violet color on their fins if you see them from the right angle. And they school really nicely. They shoal when they're not stressed at all. And if they're either spawning and excited or they're eating and excited, they school really tightly in a tank, which I love. I mean, I think that's just really fun to watch. Let's get them some food and see. Oh wow, Isabel, thank you so much for the super chat. I really appreciate that. Très bien, mon ami. Merci beaucoup. So let's see if we can get some others. Yeah, I mean, wow, thank you so much, Isabel. That was very nice of you. And those of you sticking around as members, I appreciate it so much. What's up, Kenny? How's it going, brother? Happy anniversary to you, Danikin crew. You and Danny, I hope you had a good anniversary. And, man, this month, you guys have had a lot going on. And so, I just, I hope that it's been a good month, even if not a hectic one. But Pseudomugil luminatus, this one almost surprised me. I happened to find this out on accident or not even looking into it, and found out that the Pseudomugil luminatus is actually one of the Pseudomugils that can withstand down to around 66, 68 degrees, somewhere in there, consistently. They don't need to be in 74, 75. Now, the odd thing about them and these guys, oh, he made an appearance for a moment. The odd thing about them is that they can live all the way up to like 85 degrees also. So they can do really hot, or they can do kind of subtropical. So they're kind of an interesting Pseudomugil in that regard. But if you've never seen them in person or a good photo of them, they are neon blue and neon orange or red at the same time, which is kind of hard to explain. But they have this blue reflection on them, on their side, and then they're like this, they look like they're glowing from the inside of orange. And they're actually pretty easy to spawn. They're pretty good fish that way. And it's one that, I wasn't expecting to be on the list, but between them and also the Stiphodon ornatus and the Stiphodon crulensis, or also cobalt Stiphodons, they can all hang out in that 66 to 67 degree area, and that's pretty typical of what water they would live in, actually. And also, I'll just give you a little shot here of all the baby lemon plecos. There's actually about half a dozen on top of this rock eating. There's 1, 2, 3, and then they're kind of out of view. But the other friend we were going to meet is hiding back here with some of the pleco babies. And this is the Borneo spotted loach. So yet again, we have another fish that's from the heart of the tropics, like on the equator, basically. But it lives up to 5,000 feet up in the mountains and in these valleys in Borneo, which is a crazy island that has not really even been fully explored, just like Papua New Guinea, or at least charted well. And so everything in here, other than the Sultan pleco, believe it or not, is in here and can withstand no heater. There's no heater in this tank. This room, the coldest it ever gets is about 70, and so that's more than warm enough for everybody in this tank, including this little bumblebee guy, who these bumblebee freshwaters, they tend to hang out around 70 to 72 in the rainy season, and they get up to around 84 in the hot season. So a lot of these fish, even though they can take the cold, they live in a monsoon cycle. And so more so in the old world, or as you would say, Asia, Africa, Europe, Australia, Micronesia, and Polynesia, you see more fish there than in the Amazon, which is so much water that you honestly, hey Rico, thank you so much, because you fish is, oh my gosh, okay, I see it. Because your fish is on my list. Because your fish of best things in life. Because your fish is on my list. They're the best things in life. Because your fish. Alright, so you actually have to pay me to stop me from singing, is how that works. I know, luminatus going down below 70 blew my mind when I found that one out too. Really surprised me. Yes. Color guppies, hello. So we're going to sneak up because this one's going to dart away like a bat out of hell when we get close. But it's on our list. It's on our list. This fish is on our list. It's shaky because I'm zoomed in really far. But this blur, this interesting looking blur that's kind of bluish, this is a Gulf Pygmy sunfish. Now, these guys are a little more difficult because they generally need live food. Not all of them, but most of them want live food or a really well-seasoned tank that just happens to have, scuds or daphnia or some sort of critters living amongst your tank. And I know the glare is bad and everything. I could have pulled up a picture on the internet, and maybe we will. The list is in the description if you're curious and want to look at these fish in more detail than just me saying their names. But the pygmy sunfish of the Gulf Coast, this one is generally like the striped or spotted, but it's the gilberti. It's the Iliosoma gilberti. And it's a beautiful little fish, only about 3/4 of an inch long, usually max growth. And there's a species in Alabama, there's a species in Georgia. These are actually out of the Okefenokee, even though they're credited as being from the Everglades in Florida. But they can tolerate all the way down to near the frost line. Most care videos or care descriptions online will say that they can tolerate about 62 degrees water. But that just goes to show you that those sites are saying what they thrive in, where they're going to spawn, where they're going to hold their color and look nice. A lot of these fish online, when you see a number, they can dip down below that temperature for a while. It may compromise their health, or in a lot of cases it needs to happen over time, and there need to be certain dietary changes and activity changes, or the fish isn't ready for that metabolic shift, which basically takes them into something called torpor, which is kind of like hibernation, but it's a little different. They're still awake, and they can make decisions and snap to and kind of run away if they have an issue of some sort. But yeah, so it's a little different. And right here, these are one of my favorites. Misfits, thank you so much. And Connie, wow. You guys are extremely generous, and I appreciate it oh so much, because on the 22nd, like I said, I am getting teeth done. It's going to be pricey, and hopefully I won't miss a beat on this show other than the day of. But I may have a mouthful of gauze and all my bottom teeth missing. So can't promise how good I'm going to sound. So I'll probably try to make some videos for y'all to watch. Like, maybe so far the video about betas being given LSD by the U.S. government seems to have gone over pretty well. So maybe we'll talk about some of the other bizarre studies, like when they gave zebra danios PCP. Kind of crazy, but they did it. They even gave them adrenochrome, which no, is not a made-up thing, and no, it's not actually that crazy of a chemical. It's actually a precursor to adrenaline. You make it in your body, and it's basically like an EpiPen or epinephrine. Isabel, I would not be mad at all. I would be completely elated if you want to write Dr. Pepper. Because I would love to have them sponsor me. I could sponsor them, I suppose. I already am sponsoring them. I put their kids through college. But Dr. Pepper, what I've been trying to push them, I wrote it, and then they're like, that's great, but we're for $100,000 sponsorships and more, like for NASCAR and stuff. So I need to submit it to someone else. But what I wanted to do is get a Dr. Pepper can or logo and put it on the side of a CO2 tank like that. And so the tank looks like soda. And then I want to put a soda gun, like to drink soda from, on the same CO2 tank as the one that's doing an aquascape. I don't know if that's even possible. If you've ever worked in the food industry and done like hookup or delivery of the CO2 soda gun or soda machine things, let me know. I need to figure out some logistics. I don't know if they'll ever do it, but I bet if some people said, hey, this guy loves Dr. Pepper, and he shows it all the time on the show, it would probably help. So I appreciate that, Isabel. That's very sweet of you. Also, I just wanted to show, because these guys, I've shown you, this tank used to be incredibly lush. We had nice little suction cups on the side. We had Anubias and Java Fern going up the glass with the suction cups, and little teeny, well, I don't know what you'd call them, but like potting ledges. 3D printed ones from Han Aquatic back in the day. And then now this male has become fully grown and enraged. And this female, so she's golden green with red or copper on her forehead. And he is like red, purple, and blue. But he'll get yellow, green, all sorts of colors on his side. And this is there's no Latin name for this guy yet. They qualify them as interior chromis or haplochromis, and then the location they were found in Lake Victoria by Lawrence Kent, who's in my local club. But he gave me these when they were subadults, and now they're adults. So I'm really hoping that they spawn soon, but they have ruined this tank. I had this great aquascape full of tough African plants, Bulbitis, Anubias, Valsinaria, Corkscrew Val, and thought, oh, those will all be tough, as well as a few Amazon swords and some Aponegitans. Well, look we're down to gravel. They've literally killed so much, chewed it up, spit it out, that it's been pulverized into gravel. over the last 3 or 4 months, really, is when they've done the bulk of it. And they're making a nest under here somewhere. That's where they go at night, and that's where they go hide when they get scared. But they literally dislodged the Anubias and started eating it, so I took out most. But for some reason, they don't like the petite Anubias. I thought it would be tender and they'd like it more, but they don't seem to. So we still got the Anubias in there. But let's move on to our next fish. So, next fish that can tolerate not tropical weather is going to be the goodiid. And this isn't true for every goodiid, but out of the, 120 goodiid species or lines, this one is called the split fin butterfly goodiid. And this one can tolerate weather down into the 60s easily, even into the high 50s at night. And this one is from Mexico and found inland Mexico. And in fact, a lot of these are found in the waterways around Mexico City, which originally the city was built on a lake. And they built reed mats on it. Oh, there's my, here's my Turkana cichlids, by the way, that Kenny gave me, Danikin gave me. And there's 6 in here, but 3 have grown at an enormous, or at a killer pace compared to the others. And they eat every plant that I put in there, so there's like 2 plants in there, which is a bummer, and water lettuce. But yeah, so these goodiids, they live all around surrounding Mexico City, what is now a sewer, or basically floodgates and things for when it rains really hard. Used to be a lake, and so they don't have their natural habitat. About 4 species right there in the city. So that's another fish that is suffering because of humans and us meddling with their habitat. So moving right along, the rosy barb. Let's get rid of this glare. Goodness. The rosy barb, these guys can withstand all the way down to like 56 degrees, no problem. I had these guys outside until mid-September, and they were in a tank with guppy grass or nausea grass, so these are the females that are hanging out in the front. Let's try to get the male. Let's step back and see if we can get the male, who is really a beautiful orange color, not a rosy color, but a real bright orange color. See if we can get him to come forward. Maybe some food would motivate them. Let's see. So we'll see here and if we can get them to pop up. Right now we've got all 3 females. Man, the glare is awful. We'll get a male to come by, see what they're doing. So while we're waiting for the male, we'll move right along to my next species. And these come in a really wide variety. But for some reason in the US, people don't care about the variety, and so we have albino, blue, and original, or wild. But this is the paradise gourami, or the kissing gourami, or the lip gourami. And these guys are awesome. They take care of their young for a little while. They make bubble nests, and they're just really cool fish. You guys probably have seen the video on the channel by now where I can put my hand in the tank and they will climb into my hand and hang out. They've got these big feelers like all gouramis do up in the front, and so they'll feel my hand and make sure that it's safe, and then they'll hop in. There's one of the males right there. So that's a rosy barb for you. You can grow those. You could probably put that outside in California or Florida or Texas. Probably keep that outside all year long, depending if you're right on the Gulf Coast somewhere. So those are a great fish, and they can withstand down into the 50s, as can these, but they don't like being in the 50s. These ones definitely you want to keep in the mid to upper 60s or higher, but yet again, no heater in their tanks, and they're just a fun little fish. I really like these fish, and these guys are really bold too. They can be a little nippy. And so let me show you two their babies, who are somewhere up here. Where are you guys? There you are. So there's about a dozen babies in this little 2.5 gallon grow out tank. The other cool thing about them, They don't need a drop of water. They can hang out, or water. They don't need a drop of filtration. As long as you don't have a ton of ammonia in the water, they're fine. So you just do water changes. They don't need the aeration. They're fine without, high aeration. And they're all over in this tank, as are another fish on my list, which are a U.S. native, the least killifish. Now, you guys may know about the least killifish, so I'm not going to go into much detail other than showing you some, and also showing you guys the 24 karat gold white cloud minnow, which you probably know, good down to the mid 60s, maybe even the high 50s, as are the Meteor minnows. These ones a little bit less so. These are called the tan minnows, named after a Boy Scout, George Tan, who discovered these in a pond originally in 1938, and right before World War II. And then for a long time they were just called tan minnows. And then these Vietnamese ones, actually, the Meteor minnows, the red ones, were thought to be extinct. There was a version just like them on the Chinese mainland near Macau, right inland from the island of Macau and Hong Kong. And they went extinct due to the development of Shenzhen, the city. And so these were found in Vietnam and matched the description really closely. I don't know if they ever did DNA testing on the specimens in jars or if that's preserved well enough that they could do that. But the Meteor minnow is kind of like this long lost relic of a fish, sort of, because of that. Now in here also we have more bettas. And again, this tank's not heated. We have endlers, which again, they can live into the mid 60s, no problem. And they don't need moving water either. You can see there's a filter to stay cycled, but no bubbles. They're in a 10-gallon, and all these fish, all these snails, doing well, growing out. And the nitrates, just tested them, they don't even register on the strip, mostly due to hornwort, which I'm constantly cutting and tossing out. Cutting and tossing out. Cutting and tossing out. Let's see if any more of these guys popped up, or if he... I'm a little worried that this big guy is eating the littlest guys, but without... Oh, no, there's some littler ones. But without poking around, I am slightly disturbed by that. Fish are ruthless. And again, these have been gone since COVID started. These tin Winnie Danios or gold ring Danios. And they're my favorite simple little Danio. Paid $6 a pop for them, even though they used to be $1 or $2 a piece. But they're a really pretty fish. They are looking kind of skinny though, and usually I really trust the wet spot, so I tossed them in this tank. But they may get treated with levamisol in this tank, because that one looks a little sunken bellied. It could just be that it's hungry because the transshippers or the importers didn't feed them very well. But I don't like taking the chance, and so if I still see that going on, or if I see it in any other fish, I'll treat this whole tank. And honestly, that's okay, because the lemon plecos, they kind of need to be treated generally anyways. Plecos get columnaris worms really easily, and so I just like to treat them as precaution. Also, while we're down here, the little half-beak's hanging out up here, doing his little scooty job, running around. That's one of the babies, but up in the tank next to those rosy barbs, we have a whole bunch of them. Yes, platies, totally, Julian De Sosa. Platies can definitely do really well in a room temperature, 55 to 65 degrees at night, 70 in the day kind of tank. That is their ideal. And same with swordtails and mollies. The mollies that are found in Florida and Texas and Louisiana are actually, they're on that list. PJP, yeah, thanks for clarifying about them not needing water. All right, take care, Kenny. I'll see you later. Yes, Medakas. They're on the list. But Alyssa Bentley, what's up? I still had endlers in my wastewater container outside until Monday. So we've had temperatures down to 40, 45, 40-ish degrees, and Alyssa kept her endlers outside and they still survive. So that should tell you something. Yeah, I know the parameters, my water parameters in this tank for the luminatus, Richard. Camelanus worms. Um, so, did I say columnaris? Camelanus is the correct thing, not columnaris. I often say that accidentally. But the water parameters on this tank here, TDS is about 120. It stays very low because I change the water a lot. And I use RO water if I can. But instead of RO water, a trick that I wanted to mention, I was actually going to do a whole like little 3 or 4 minute video on it, is I use my dehumidifier. And every 12 to 15 hours, I can add a gallon to a tank. And so once my shrimp tanks are all sorted, I add a gallon to this tank, so that the thread fins and the luminatus, the water's very, very soft. And same for the little freshwater goby and the Stiphodon gobies. Now they actually can withstand salt water as babies, but as adults they're used to flowing rainwater mountain streams. So yeah. Also, I just saw it, and so we're gonna look because I just caught a glance of it. But this is my little Bickford pencilfish. I have about a dozen of these that hatched out in that tank that's full of algae that we looked at the beginning. About a dozen of these are hiding in this tank, and I hadn't really seen any for a few weeks, but I just saw 2, and one is still sitting here. So right there, and there's a ram's horn snail in the uptake tube of the filter. But there is a little Bickford pencilfish, very teeny, probably probably a quarter of an inch long. Because next to those gold barbs, it's only half the length of them. It's a lot more forward in the tank. Alright, let's see here. So, the next one that may surprise you because they live in Liberia predominantly, is that, other than more neocaradinas, which obviously these guys are okay living in the 60s range, they like the higher 60s. Pretty much ideal is 68 to 72 for these fish, but some can survive all the way down into like the 40s. Lucas Bretz can attest to this when he's shipping. He's had some survive all the way down to near freezing. It's all about, how quickly it happens, and if they have a place to kind of hide, like in substrate, really does help. But what we're looking at is not these shrimp in this one or this one, even though they are cool and they are pretty and I do love them. We are looking at this little bugger right here from Liberia. And this is a female down here because she has no color in her tail. And she's got a big fat belly full of eggs, so hopefully she's going to lay eggs soon. But here comes the male, derping along like a rocket. And that's what I will call them. I am starting the movement of calling them rocket killies, like when they were discovered. Wow, that was a nice switcheroo. There comes the other female right there. She's got a big belly full of eggs too. So these ones aren't heated right now either, meaning they're about 72 degrees, but these guys can be all the way down to 66, 67 degrees and do just fine, which is surprising because they're from Liberia. Why is this information found out? Well, it's found out because people keep killifish in basically little shoe boxes and totes. And because they do that, sometimes they store them away in closets and things, the eggs, and these happen to survive in that environment. Laura, thank you so much. I just saw your $9.99 super chat. You are so incredibly generous. I really appreciate that. As does my grill, my teeth. But yeah, these guys are actually found in the footprints of hippos, rhinos, and elephants near watering holes, like in the mud, which I think is kind of a cool thing. I've seen photos of it. But they're basically in any seasonal little pools or ponds. And they lay eggs. And back there with them are some least killifish babies. And I think when the least killifish have babies, it really does encourage in the water more babies to be born. So that's why they're kind of in there together. Least killifish are a pretty similar size. They're a little bit smaller, but you can see the males chasing the female. Oh, now the least killifish want to be in on the action of the show. And I guess they can join. I guess. Let's see here. Trying to get them in focus. They're so teeny, though. It's hard to get them in focus. But I just thought that was interesting that because of breeders, we learned that the little clown killies, which I am demanding be called rocket killies, can survive down into the 60s just fine, unheated, and with no moving water whatsoever. In fact, you can tell I've probably fed a little bit too much protein. That's that food from Aquarium Co-op, which is their baby fry food. Love that stuff, but it is really high in fat and oil and protein. So it kind of sits at the top if you don't have water agitation. Which, who has a tank without a filter and just moss and floating plants? I guess me. But it does just fine. It's been going a long time. And since I moved in. And then here we have our samurai gouramis. And they're doing just fine, but I just thought I'd say hi to them. And the other thing that's in here that's on our list, it's on our list. This fish is on our list. Rico started it. Isabel just wrote $3.33. Wrote to Dr. Pepper, please do the same, fish fam. Oh, I appreciate it. Arya says, Alex, what are some effects one can expect if a fish is being kept in excessively hard water? Well, they can die. They can get osteophytes, or basically their bone or cartilage can become too tough and grow these little spurs on it, and it can cause a fish to die prematurely. It can also cause spine defects, just like a lack of calcium can. And then also it can cause the pH to change. Usually that would stabilize the pH, honestly. But yeah, it could be a problem. Let's see here. Alex, do you know how high clown killies can jump? Yeah, they can jump a good 4 inches, like 2 to 4 inches probably, like above the water. But usually it's at an angle. And honestly, unless you've got two males chasing each other, usually they don't do the jumping. I can't promise that, but it's usually two males that get into it that fiercely. Whereas the male just kind of bugging the female doesn't tend to elicit that. So they stay at this height. But you can see like my chocolate gouramis or my little gold barbs and pencil fish, I usually try to leave a space. Even my Elosoma dwarf sunfish, and then obviously the Psuedomugils, they need like a good 4 or 5 inches. If you've got a 20 long, they can get a running start and clear that tank. They can clear a good 3 inches, no problem. But another fish that I wanted to mention that had been hiding was the shadow cat, the gold or yellow shadow cat. And it's pacing around back there. But basically, any of the fish that are found in Lake Inle can survive in the mid-60s just fine. There it goes again. I really like those. I want to get a school of them and then move them to a different tank. All right, let's see here. Where are the fish I was going to talk about in here? Where are you, ladies and gentlemen? Let's agitate a bit. Let's start a movement. Let's see here. All right, there they are. You guys know them. You love them. The Danio marginatus, or Divario marginatus, depending on who you ask. But the Celestial Pearl, Danio, Cpd. We got a nice big old female and male there. Got another female. But they can live down into those mid-60s just fine. Also, those and Erythromicrons, or the Emerald Dwarf Rasboras, that have the banding going horizontally or vertically, they can live in that water just fine. As can the orange rummy nose rasbora, which I never expected that fish either would be able to live in that water. It's very amazing to me that they can do that. Now, another fish that we don't really care enough about in this country, just like this poor guy, the paradise fish gouramis, are the Medaka Rice fish. And these guys are awesome. If you guys haven't seen my video on how are they able to live under the ice, check it out. But these guys can live, they were all the way up to 100 degrees Fahrenheit this summer. The water, not the temperature outside. It was 114 that day, the hottest day we've had in Seattle. And the fish were outside in the shade, and the tank they were in, the tub they were in, got up to 101 degrees, and they survived just fine without aeration. The awesome Medaka rice fish, or Ortiz lapsus. They're awesome fish, and they're designed domesticated wise. I mean, they were bred predominantly. Let's scare some back to be viewed from above. So you can see this one kind of looks like a koi, with it's got the red cap. This one has got all blue and whitish silver. There's that little red cap again. I like to call these ones creamsicles. And then this is called a lame galaxy one. And lame, spelled like the word lame, is a word for sparkles. And so it's when they've been bred so that they have iridophores all over their back. And let's scare him back here. Come on back. Come on back to the party, little fishy fish. But regardless if he comes back, they're really fun to watch. They hold their eggs, the females daily. They hold an egg up to 20, depending on how they've been bred and how old they are and everything, and how much protein they're eating. But they'll hold a cluster of eggs underneath their belly with both of their little anal fins. They've got paired anal fins, and actually they might be pectoral fins evolutionarily wise. I'm not sure on that. If someone knows in the chat, please let me know. But, and here's another of the lame, which means sparkly again in Japanese. But they're really cool fish, and they can withstand tropics. They can withstand hard water, soft water. And up here are my Yohuki version, which are basically just an oranger silver belly that's big and fat in this tank. These guys are probably being overfed, honestly. But, you know, I like to watch them eat. I'm sorry. I'm guilty. But they don't need a filter. They don't need a heater. They just need water and a little bit of food. In fact, if they're outside, they probably don't even need food. You can probably just let bugs fall into their tank. Think least killifish and Medaka would do well together? Well, they do okay. I've had them together. But the Medaka babies and least killifish babies are not at all the same size. So the least killifish will definitely... the Medaka will... Sorry, wait, which one were you talking about? Yeah, least killies and Medakas, actually, yes, they do get along okay. The Medakas will eat the least killi babies. They're in here, honestly. Let's see if we can see any babies, though. Yeah, actually, there's a baby least killifish right there. Kind of hard to see because it's so teeny and I'm zoomed in. But, yeah, they're living together in here. Just give them lots of moss or sawassertong or some sort of thick brush. Also, it's nice to give them duckweed or water lettuce or something that floats, that is got roots, just slight roots, even just hornwort like this. It'll definitely keep them a lot happier. Also, I got from Aquatic Arts, and I'm stoked, these lotus pods. So I've been doing some research on them and other tannins. I've got moringa leaves and cinnamon tree leaves, all sorts of cool stuff that I'm going to be playing with in the near future. So I'm happy. I've been really into tannins for a long time. So, just by happenstance, by the way, this is a blue lip buffalo head cichlid from Africa. Does not like cold water, and it's not super colored up right now. He's just kind of chilling. And the Episto pen, or never mind, Nicini, or as I like to say, Ningensis. Mick always corrects me, Mick M. And then we got the elephant nose, Petersai, right here, chilling. That's where he eats his bloodworms. I guess I just have to feed him to him now every day. He's gotten kind of shy, antisocial, even more so than he was. And then the half-beaks are doing well, like I said. They've been having babies. So I just have to fish the babies out. And like right here is another half-beak. They're quick. And they jump so high. Man, they jump high, these half-beaks. I've seen them go from sitting completely, like, do you see that one just spin around? They can move unlike any other fish I've ever seen, honestly. They have a very unique locomotion. But what they're usually freaking out or running from, other than one another, these wrestling half-beaks, aka golden half-beaks, is these guys, which are Gertrude, Psuedomugil Gertrude. And these guys are also, like luminatus, able to withstand temperatures into the 66-degree range, which to me just blew my mind when I read that. I was like, what? And it wasn't, it's not in all the known, I mean, it's not, you'll find sources that contradict that. But, I mean, for one, luminatus, just even go to, like, Seriously Fish, and they've got it listed there. Here you can see the difference between a male and a female. Here's a little males and females, buffalo heads. Sorry, I'm jumping around, guys. But in any case, yeah, so they're a really cool fish. They're not quite as colorful as the luminatus, but these guys, what they do is they color up and they not sword fight, but kind of joust or fence quite frequently. Hey, look, we got a little baby half-beak that came up to the glass. How did you survive in here? Usually you would have gotten eaten so far compared to an adult like that one over there. But we got a little baby one right here. In any case. But yeah, these guys have been eating the baby half-beaks. But they're fine. I've spawned them in tanks without heaters several times. And assumed it was just that I was keeping them over 70 degrees. There's a nice glimpse of the Cpds that can withstand the cooler temps too. Like I said, anything in that Lake Inle water, it gets cold in their colder season, their wet season, it's cold, and they can survive it. Moving right up the mountains, we've got the panda loach. And these panda loaches come from southern China, from the Yunnan province, and yet again, they're found a good 1,000 feet to 2,000 feet easily is the start of where they're found in the river above sea level. And they go all the way up to like 4,500 feet above sea level if you follow their little river. And there's 2 or 3 forks of the river. This is the line that's found in the north fork of the river. And they're just a beautiful little fish. They love to be social, so don't do like I am right now. I used to have 12 of these. On that hot day, they died. And I now only have 2. I believe only 2 have survived. So, unfortunately, I need to get them some friends, but they are usually up to $20 a piece, which is very expensive for a fish that is less than half an inch long when you get it and is kind of sensitive. So this is a misnomer in that, yes, it can live in cold water, but it needs a lot of flow and aeration while it's young, when it's a baby. and it needs algae and biofilm to graze on, or it will die pretty rapidly. It's not a hardy fish in that sense. Also, here's some more Stiphodons. These are the cobalt blue ones, and like I was saying, they're found all the way from Taiwan and Okinawa and Japan, not the mainland of Japan, or the main island of Japan, Hokkaido, but all the way down from like Okinawa and some of the other little lower islands in the South China Sea. They're found there, and all the way down into Indonesia. So it really kind of depends on the species, but some of these species will swim from Taiwan all the way to Indonesia. So a lot of them can tolerate some decently cold weather right from the get-go. Now, hillstream loaches, I don't have one handy, but they can withstand temperatures like the Lake Inle creatures, so right into the mid-60s, as can this little guy, my happy little platy. He can withstand the 60s no problem, live bear. Another really interesting fish that you may not expect, and let's see if we can find one still in here. I doubt it. They're real shy because of how mean these guys were, and I didn't even know they were in here, slash they may not be, but I had panda cories in here that were, they must have been just, you know, little teeny wrigglers when I put these guys in here. But for the last 6 months since we've been at this house or whatever, I'll see them every once in a while, especially at night. So I think they hide really well somewhere back in here, and they only come out to get food. So I try to leave an algae wafer for them. But I can't catch them, I can't find them, and if I disturb anything, it mucks up everything super quickly. This guy's just bagging now. This girl, I should say, this gal. But the Panda Corridora can withstand temperatures down into the 67, 66 range. They're a Corridora found in Colombia, and they can withstand those cold temperatures from the wet season. Oh yeah, Andy, you rock. So do you, Isabel. Ramping up the Dr. Pepper sponsorship plan. You know, I'd love to have another aquascape with CO2. Did you guys see during the video last week where I said that ick was in this tank? Well, now everybody's looking better other than the one Nanacara. All I did was I turned up the temperature to 86. So these same fish that are living in temperatures, oh, it looks like there's one barb, one 8-banded barb that is not doing good. I just saw. But these loaches, the multi-banded loaches, they're from Lake Inle, and they do just fine in cool temps. But as I'm showing you now too, they do totally fine in hot tanks, because this tank, like I said, 86 degrees right now, to try to get rid of the ick that we saw in here last week. And we're going to leave it, even though the fish are getting better and most of the little nodules have dropped off most of the fish. You can see there's a couple on this little Nanacara if we really zoom in. But he looks way better. He looked like he was covered in powder. I felt so bad for him. And they dropped off really quickly. Within the first maybe 48 hours, he looked as good as he does now. The other thing about these little Lake Inle loaches or / multi-barred dwarf loaches, they are spawning in this tank. So here's one adult. We had 6 adults in here, and now we have 12. That was like a year ago. So, and the same story with these fire barbs, but these are not cold tolerant, these fire barbs. They like the heat. Again, same with the Nanacara, that little cichlid right there. And same with the buffalo head babies. These are the blue lip buffaloes, the babies. Same with plecos. Plecos can take all the way down to 70 degrees, and sisters can, but not cooler than that. And also Aeneas corridoras, depending on where the Aeneas is from, Some of them can withstand, like the bronze cory, can actually withstand all. Hey, look at this buffalo cichlid. What is he doing? He's eating my kabamba, you little butt. Or just ripping pieces of it off. Man, cichlids are the best slash worst fish ever. Look at him. Little pig. Thanks for remodeling, bud. But yeah, these guys are really pretty. The Nanacara, when they're in their kind of spawning garb, turquoise and yellow. I don't know why they're called the golden eye cichlid. I mean, they do kind of have a copper or bronze colored eye. Wow, that one's just. Oh, I see why he didn't want to mess with him. But look at that buffalo head cichlid is still just chewing away at my kabamba. And of course, he went after the one kabamba that is a baby. Hey, T-Bone, thank you so much, buddy. Appreciate that, brother. That super chat of $5. 5 Australian bucks. They're worth more than our bucks. But yeah, that little brat, he ate my frittata kabamba too. Like, he couldn't just eat the Caroliniana kabambas that are all over the tank. He ate one of the two that are the frittata that have the really pretty gold and pink color to them when they're in high light. Here's the other little buffalo cichlid baby. I kept them separate just for fun, just to see what would happen. Just so I didn't have literally all my little post eggs in one basket. So the adults are over there. But that's what I get for not quarantining. I got ick from the wet spot. And I know it's from those barbs, so that was my bad. That was stupid. Don't be like me. Don't have 30 tanks and have no quarantine tank because you're impatient and greedy like me. Hello, honey. Hi. Let's see here. We're going to see if the little stone catfish are out because they were really one of the ones on the list that's pretty cool and that can take very cool climate. Of course, we would be remiss if we didn't mention also that the Badis family of fish, the Darios, the Dario, and then also the Dario and Badis are both fish that can withstand very cool temperatures. And I'm not seeing the anchor cat anywhere in here right now. So I apologize. Hello, Tam. Welcome. Yeah, I don't see the anchor cats. That's weird. They usually do come out and feed, but it might just be too early. Our streams are usually at night. But so that's kind of the rundown. Those are my favorite fish. Some of the ones you may not expect. And, you know, some people have said, like, bettas don't like it under 70. That's true. They don't particularly thrive under that temperature. But that's a little different than, you know, a few months out of the year, maybe you don't need to buy a heater for a fish room. Heaters can overheat and kill your fish. And they also take energy. And so if you can keep a fish room, say 70 degrees, that betta is going to be fine. Now, if it's out in the living room and you have no other tanks with it or something, and you can only keep things at 55, you don't have a heater in your house or something, then no. Even though the betta will survive, that's miserable for it. So, I mean, we're talking here a little bit relatively. If you're comfortable in your house, say mid-60s and up, these fish are too, or they'll be okay. That is to say that they'll also, I mean, they're also going to get warmer than that too, some days. And that's what I think is cool about it. Hey, honey. What? I stole something from you. Accidentally. And guys, look what I got today. A new Twakey baster. So, you know, I had a high-tech, that's a big opening though. I actually wanted like the dollar store kind. We'll see how this one works. But favorite tool in the fish room. This is probably my biggest secret tool in the fish room, is a turkey baster. And you can use that as a pokey stick if things need poking, or you can use it to move little teeny fry. You can use it to take frozen food and baste the frozen food. You can use it to get ick from one tank into the other tanks. So be careful about that. You want to either dip it in some sort of sanitizer, or not do that. Have a different. You can get them at the dollar store, and so I would say you could get a $2, $3 baster, and actually some of those are better, in my opinion, than the pricier ones. Let's see here. People keep trying to tell me that they got heaters for shrimp tanks, and I'm telling people they are not needed. Yeah, they're definitely not needed for most shrimp. Now, zebra babalti, green babalti, possibly. Lake Silawase shrimp, yes, I would get them for that. Any of the other lakes on the island of Sulawesi or on Borneo, probably you do want them for those shrimp. But as far as like Opaula even, or volcano shrimp as they're known, also Malawa shrimp, the chameleon or rainbow babaltis don't need them. Just those pink and purple babaltis, zebra babaltis, they need them. Or at least they need to be around 74 or 5 if you can't keep them there. The other shrimp, though, neocaradinas and most caradinas. Now, there are a few caradina lines that are so inbred, or rather selectively bred, to the point where they didn't pay attention to anything and they kept the temperature at like 74 degrees for years and years in the breeding colonies, that now that's their default temperature. But it's not their natural temperature. Naturally, if you dive down in a creek in a place where it's 74 degrees outside in the cool time of year, that creek is going to be colder than that, and at night they're going to be down, lower in the water and stuff. And if you've ever swam down a couple feet in the water or been in the shade in a creek, you know that it gets cooler. So it's quite likely that they can withstand a lot more. Now, the problem is that in a aquarium, they have stressors, psychological stressors. They don't have the same diet. They don't have the same community. They don't have the same gut biome. And tiger barbs do need a heater. They don't need to be too hot. They can be at 70 or 72. Let's take care of that spam. Do we have any mods in here right now? Can I take care of this spam? Hold on. Mods, do we have anybody in here that's a mod? Well, we're winding down here anyhow. Oh, T-Bone and Alyssa, if you're still here at all, if you could just boot that spammer who says, "Hot girls and boys, video chat, fire, fire, fire." Yeah, Mr. Gromby, I will, wait, I can look up to study fish. I like seriously fish. It's not always right. It's kind of like Wikipedia. It's not always right. It's usually right, or has the most up-to-date information. Sometimes things are just a matter of opinion, though. Like guppies, the fact that they live in 60-degree temperature, other people say you can't keep them at 60 degrees. They survive at 60 degrees. And that's fair enough. It's like where you draw that line, though. So some of the things are a little bit arbitrary. Same with like TDS and pH. Like a lot of fish you can keep in a pH that's crazy outside the limits of where it should be, if it's gradual or if they were born in that water. So yeah. Do fish even have a brain? Oh dear. Interesting question. 32768 Hertz. Watch the video I put up yesterday when they gave fish LSD. That will answer your question quite nicely. And they also have brains that even in the most little teeny tiny of fish, they respond differently when humans are watching and when other fish, be it male or females of their species, are watching. they respond completely differently in a lot of studies, which I thought was very interesting. Sorry, Alyssa, you don't have to do you. I didn't mean to like force you to mod, but thank you for booting. For booting, thank you for the boot up. Sorry to disturb your water change. How can you send me some rock pictures? Well, we have a Facebook group with around 800 people in it. A lot of them are really intelligent folks who can help you out. Or when I see it, I'll try to leave a comment and help you out. But it's a good community, so join the Facebook group. And other than that, I mean, you could always link something for me and leave it in a comment, or you could email me. So yeah. Speaking of, Pyrian Wang says, or Luke says, speaking of seriously fish, I thought that was recent genus description for the teeny guys was, Celeste. Yeah, you're right. Is still Danio. It was Divario. For a while, it was going to be Rasbora, which was completely wrong. And if I get those when I'm talking, I get those without reference papers, without the Erythromicrons and the Celestiathis, Celestiathis. I get their histories mixed up because they both were called either a Danio or a Rasbora, and then it turns out they're both Danios now. So we've settled on that. Even one person thought, yes, Mr. Gromby. Also, I know Discord. I said at the beginning of this coming year, maybe we'll set one up because I know you and several other folks definitely want to do that, and I do too. I just don't want to take on another thing that gives me 10 hours a week of management. So I would feel bad if I started it and then wasn't involved much. Let's see. Misfits says 10, 15 years ago, all these factors were 1,000% more problematic, but 90% of the species we now have been in a tank for a long time, and they adapt pretty drastically. Yeah, that's definitely true. Except for the Lake Inle species, honestly. Those Myanmar species, they weren't known. Yes, definitely, I agree. I don't even acknowledge tank size that they recommend for fish anywhere. I look at the fish, I see what the size is, I see if I can find videos of them swimming around as an adult, and then I make my decision there, like based on how many there's going to be and what environment they live in. I usually try to find out what the biotope. I have a video that's pretty boring, but it's a 2-hour live stream, and I go through and I show you how you can find a biotope on the map. You can find the exact river, find the species, then you find the watershed, then you go and you find photos of that being built or in an aquarium or it in real life if there's footage, and that all tells you how you can proceed with your aquarium. But an inch per gallon is a silly rule, as we all know if you're into fish keeping. I can keep 100 fish that are an inch long in this 40 or 50 gallon, no problem. However, if I have a 6 or 7 inch fish like this guy, maybe I can only keep a dozen of them in there or 5 of them in there. With those, probably you'd only want like 5 or 6. Or a big gourami or an Oscar, you maybe only want 1 or 2 in like a 50 gallon. Likewise, I've had 20-gallon tanks like over here, and I've had those filled with 200 guppies, and I had to do a lot of water changes weekly. But if you're willing to do the water changes and you've got plants and there's room for them to move, you can do it. At that point, I think it's mean. Like, that's only an emergency. Like, oh, I'm running out of guppy space. So my main thing is that they have room to move reasonably, that they look semi-comfortable or semi-close to what they do in real life, in real environments, their habitats. This guy's eating algae again. He's so big, though. I kind of have, speaking of putting big fish in small tanks, see how his little buddy, who's this size, who's only an inch long, is eating the algae right here for me? and he's going to grow fast because he's going to eat so much algae. But I kind of wish that I could put the big one in here. He would make short work of all this algae, honestly. But he just wouldn't be happy. He'd be thrashing around from side to side, freak out, hit his face. Stuff just wouldn't be great. So look at this guy, look at this betta staring at an empty. It was staring at an empty shell, like sizing it up. Like, do I need to fight you? No, you don't need to fight it. It's just a shell. Alex, what website can I? I'd say seriously, Fish is a good one. And then also I like Planet Catfish or Catfish World if you're looking for pleco or Corey info. For plants info, I like Tom Barr's the Barr Report. Let's see, there's a lot of places I go. Google Scholar, if I'm looking for scholarly articles, is where I start, and then I will go to JSTOR, which is another one. Alex, what is the live stream? Do you recall? I don't even remember which one. I know in one of your videos you recommend a book for identifying plants. What is the name of the book? Yes, it's by far the best book, and it is over here somewhere. I gotta wrap up soon, but where is that book? It's Crystal Castleman's The Aquatic Plant, or Aquarium Plants, depending on which version you have. Aquarium Plants is the more common one, I think. The U.S. translation, or it'll say probably U.K. translation. But where I would buy it, if you can, in the States, is off of redfishbluefish.shop. He had them for $77, signed by the author. And everywhere else I've seen them, they're at least over $100, but they're well worth it. I mean, they're color books, full of good information. I don't know where that book is right now. I brought it down to Portland, so it's probably in my art bag, would be my guess, unless I set it over here. Let's see. Aquarium Plants, where are you? I'll need to find that very quickly because I don't like being apart from that book. I love it so much. Oh, all right. But yeah, I can put together my favorite fish websites as a video for y'all this weekend, actually, or favorite fish and plant resources. Oh, Kathy B, thank you for mentioning that. I'm glad folks like the talk. On the Aquarium Insider podcast, there's a 2-hour-long version instead of a 30-minute long version of my talk that I gave at the Fishtoberfest, and it is on the 10 moments which have shaped our modern aquarium history the most, or the ways, things that are, it's stuff that's unrelated to the hobby that happen to change everything about the hobby. For instance, the steam engine changed how we could get fish across the world overnight. I mean, it changed from 6 months to having to make a fish survive to 6 weeks. And likewise, international air travel did so too. So it's going into that and then talking about the details of it. But I need to let y'all go because my wife is having a book club and I told her I would clean the house and I don't want to be a liar. So I'm gonna finish cleaning up and thank you so much today, guys. I'm glad we kind of ran through this list of cold water fish, or not cold water, but semi-cold water, subtropical tolerant fish that don't need a heater necessarily. So Malawa shrimp are called Caridina paradentatas. Very long name, but if you Google Malawa shrimp, you'll find their Latin name. Then check somewhere in Europe. Definitely hurts because my guess is they're being sold in Germany, maybe as something else, or the Czech Republic, Romania, Hungary, something like that. One of those places. Romania. But thank you so much, everybody. Mods, super chatters, lurkers, chatters. you chatting McChattersons, and of course, just thank all of you guys for being here, being a part of the community. Those of you answering questions in the Facebook group and doing, going above and beyond. I will start giving out gift certificates again as soon as I can, or cash. I like to do that whenever I can, when you guys are being kind to one another, or bring me some really cool fact, or share a cool fact with our community, because it's all about learning. I have plenty I need to learn, obviously. Every video that I put out is because I'm sitting there and learning something I want to share with y'all. So I hope you guys have a great night. I'm so glad that some of you new folks could join us, and if you were in the replay crew, thank you so much. Don't forget to slam that like button on the way out if you haven't done so already, and have a wonderful, wonderful evening. My wife agrees. Honey, can we get a send-off here? Cinderella?
What would you like me to say?
Say, get the hell out of here, you
Goodbye.
mangy mutts. Bye, guys. She's cleaning, so I better get on that, too. I'm just going to say goodbye for about a half hour more. Maybe I'll get out of this cleaning. All right, guys. Everyone says, Laura. Diane says, hello, Laura.
Hello.
All right, guys. She says, hello. All right, guys. I'll talk to you later. Can I say guys? All right, guys, a million more times. Alyssa also says, bye, Laura.
Bye.
Bye, Alyssa. Okay, everybody, one by one. Let's say goodbye to Laura. All right, have a good one. Talk to you next time. And I'll probably have a video up this weekend. I think I will do my favorite YouTube channels, books and websites as resources for learning versus entertainment. Maybe I'll do two different lists, two different short videos, and not even explain really much. Just try to do it quickly, because I don't really have, I don't want to go in depth on that. I could talk forever if we give a biography on each, but I feel like maybe that would help folks do some of the research when they're curious themselves and have an authoritative source to trust, because that's what I spend most of my time doing, is validating my resources and saying, do I trust them? Okay, once I do, I assume that they're going to give me good information and that I only need to double check it slightly. And if it's a new sourse altogether, I want 3 corroborating sources at that level that also... Laura says, bye, as in get off the dang thing and start cleaning. All right, guys. Laura Poppins. All right. Have a nice book club, honey.
Thanks.
She says thanks. All right, bye, guys. Have a great night. Enjoy the other streams tonight. And thanks again for your curiosity and generosity. Bye.